today I'm going to pick up where I left off on my coverage of GameFix, the Forum of Ideas. This is a war game magazine that talked about war games and also had a war game inside. In this issue, we have Mike Anderson's Bombs Away, the Air War Over Europe, which I believe is mostly a card game because what's in it is some uncut cards that you have to cut out and use to play. But the rule set is in here. As it says here, complete game included. This was GameFix number 4, January 1995, and I picked this up after I started doing my coverage on GameFix a while back, and I'll put a link to all the other ones that I've covered so far in the description down below. So I'll keep a running total of my GameFix coverage, so you can get your fix as well. I really don't know how many issues they did in total. As I said, I picked up my first tranche of them as part of kind of a bargain clearance sale at Noble Knight, and then I was kind of impressed and interested in how they did it, so I had my eye out for any other ones that kind of come up, and I picked up some more. So spoiler alert, you're probably going to see a few more of these. And again, I don't know if I'm going to be able to cover all of them because I don't know how many exist. And I know there's at least one out there that I haven't picked up, but there might be more as well. But enough of all that. Let's look inside the magazine. Now this is just a backing board so that it didn't bend all up, because there are cards in here. I didn't get that in the other ones that had counters, so I guess they don't care about counters, but they care about cards. As you see on the cover here, we've got some we got a P-51 and some bombers, because this is featuring the game Bombs Away. We have the article, Know Everything About the Gulf War, Are You Sure? And this is 1995, so this is, within about the same time frame as that. So what our learnings are at that point in history. The editor speaks out. Dave Wood reviews Gettysburg and Fateful Lightning by XTR. That should be interesting. And then on the back, we have an ad for Rebel Yell, which I have now been able to confirm was kind of a box game. I think it might have been the only game from Game Publications Group that was kind of a boxed game. And I've had my eye on that too. The only place I've really seen it available is at Noble Knight as well. So I have my eye on that and thinking about what that might have in store. So anyway, enough of that. Let's look inside here. We've got our general areas, editorial and things to come, battle briefs, the air war, issue game, Bombs Away, designer notes, battles from the storm, and armchair gamer. Some of these are regular features. The editor is John Compton. The air war, that might be an article that kind of sets up Bombs Away. A lot of war game magazines, the strategy and tactics and World at War and all those, even against the odds, they have a tendency to do like a feature article and then have a game that follows along with that or ties to that. Here's your editorial, things to come. Things comes a little bit smaller. I think they've had larger ones here. Here's battle briefs. The charge of the Light Division, a new player in the Mediterranean operation. Well, I can't see that. Zonkonig. Interesting. See what that is about. And we've got some color in here too, which is interesting. Here's the air war. So this is that article is going to set up the game, and then you go right to the game. And the one thing I found interesting and different in the GameFix rules are they have the rules in a kind of a 2/3 of the page, and then you have a third or so of this separate column that is either gives clarification or examples or ties into the rules, but is kind of an inset. And I kind of like that. Some Euro games do that, and how they do the rules. They'll have the rules and they have like a summary or explanation, and I kind of find that interesting how they do that here. So here we have some examples and tables. You know, this is of the cards that you're going to have in here, and here's the rules over here. So again, rules and then some examples. Again, this is a card game, so it's not, you know, not that that's the end of the rules. So not that exhaustive, not that detailed, not that complex probably. Again, it's a card game. Designer notes here. And then this is your bombs away. Now you're going to need to take this center display out. This is kind of your game board here. This with your charts and some, you know, turn sequence and some areas here, like where you're going to probably be doing your bombings. And then you have the cards here in the middle. And the cards are relatively small, but they're on thicker stock. A little bit thicker stock here, not mounted by any stretch of the imagination. These are cards. But you need to cut out. As you can see, they're not perfed. Like you might see in the old Avalon Hill days with the perforations. You're going to have to cut these out. And if you are challenged on being detailed, like me, one reason I don't get into miniatures and stuff like that, this might be, you know, might be fun for you, right? So there's the cards. They're dual-sided here. Quite a bit of information on some of these cards here, as you can see. Some of these came right over to the edge over here. Doesn't look like they cut anything off, but those might be thinner cards than what you're going to cut the deck, so you're going to know what the event is maybe. Again, a lot of event cards. These are the card backs. And then again, more cards here. And yet more cards because, you know, this is a card game. And they're small enough that maybe you do put them in these areas here. You know, this is really kind of the game board, and maybe it looks like the cards are the size that they might actually fit in some of these areas here, where as you're doing the bombing war over or the air war over Europe. This here is a map for Ancients. Ancients was the first installment of Game Fix. Had two games, had a naval and had a land battle for the Ancient system, which is goes back, I think, to maybe 3W or maybe even beyond that. Is a long time Ancient combat system, kind of a system, a series of sorts. There was at least 2, if not 3 iterations of that, and it's been modified and it's been taken to a Victory Point Games picked it up, I believe, and kind of modified it, and then I think Worthington, I think might have been Worthington or Compass. One of those two picked it up and modified it, and I think it's going to be modified yet again and taken up with another publisher. So there's quite a bit. This has quite a bit of lineage and history, the Ancient system. But this is a map that goes along with that first Game Fixed, where you can do additional scenarios. So here you are. There's more rules. So that we weren't done with the rules when I looked back there. Even though they had designer notes, we still have more rules here and some more explanation in the margins. Here's your surrender table, victory point table, build table, increased commitment. Now we have credit, so I'm assuming this is the end of the rules, but you know, I've been proven wrong before. But so there's your rules for bombs away. Then we've got battles from the storm here. This is talking about the Operation Desert Storm. Again, this is 95, so just to understand the context at that time. Here's Off the Shelf by Alan Emmerich, who was, I think, was the proprietor of Victory Point Games. I communicated with him a few times about doing a States of Siege system or game that I never got to. Panzer General and World War I. Here's the Armchair Gamer. Talking about Gettysburg by XTR and Gettysburg by XTR, an important reaction and a lengthy aside. That should be interesting here. By not know if I'm familiar with that game. Talking about his train, so they're really going into this. This is a deep dive into that. And then here's another ad for WWII. Some of these I think are picking up from articles earlier on in the magazine. There you have it. And then another article, another ad for WWII. So that is Game Fix issue number 4. So this was early on in Game Fix's history, which I think was relatively short history. January 1995 has a card game in it dealing with the air war over Europe. So it looks interesting. I'm not a fan of cutting out cards. I guess I would prefer perfs a little bit more, but in today's day and age, of course, this is 1995, but in today's day and age, cards are not as costly, I don't think, to produce. Now, producing cards in a magazine poses a special problem, because how do you deliver them if you don't deliver them like in this format where you have to cut them out? I believe it was, I think it was a strategy and tactics. I did a exploration of it. I think it was like Banana Wars, where they actually had the cards. They pulled out one of those card sleeves, where you put like 9 cards in, like you used to be able to put baseball cards in, and then with collectible card games, they took over the card sleeve market, right? And how you store your cards, but they put it in like one of those nine pocket sleeves, and the cards for the game came in that. So they weren't perf, you didn't have to cut them out, they were all to get contained. But I mean, that's the only time I've seen that, actually. A lot of times you just see it in perfs or have to cut out. So anyway, interesting. In 95, that was probably not even a thought at that point. So there you have it, Game Fix, my continuing coverage of it. I'd love to know what you think about this. If you've on this particular one, if you're interested in it, it's probably might be able to find it on Noble Knight or other places. But what your experience with Game Fix in general is on any of the ones I've covered. Again, I'll put a link in the description, or on this one specifically. Love to know your thoughts on it. Anyway, thanks for stopping by, and I hope you have a good one. Take care. Thanks for watching.